One of the key witnesses in the House's impeachment inquiry has been pushed out of the White House. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman testified before the House Intelligence Committee and listened in on the July 25th phone call with Ukraine's president. That's the call that sparked House Democrats' probe. Vindman told lawyers he reported his concerns with the call to his superiors at the National Security Council. Now the president has removed Vindman from his post at the NSC. Vindman has become a frequent target of criticism from President Trump and other Republicans. Some, including Senator Marsha Blackburn, have questioned Vindman's patriotism. Zeke Miller joins me now on the phone. Zeke is a CBSN political contributor and White House reporter for the Associated Press. Zeke, what do we know about Vindman's departure just now?
Well, we know that he was escorted out of the White House by security. That has become fairly routine in the Trump White House, as aides have been summarily dismissed for a whole host of reasons. He will return to active duty at the Department of Defense. He was on a detail from the Pentagon to the National Security Council, so he's expected to go somewhere back in the Department of Defense, but his next posting has not been determined just yet.
Now, Zeke, is this a surprising development, or once he testified before the House impeachment inquiry, was the writing just on the wall for him?
It is surprising in as much as there are, the Pentagon had said, the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, had said that there would be no retaliation against Vindman for his testimony before Congress last year. At the same time, it seemed from the moment that he did testify before the House that he had concerns about the president's call with the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, that this was sort of inevitable. That the president, we know, values loyalty among his aides, among as sort of the highest virtue for him, and then also it was probably an untenable position for him in that situation to continue in the National Security Council working so close to the president. One thing that is apparent from our reporting is that he had next to no or no contact at all with the new National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien, who took over in September. And that's an indication if you're not involved in you're being cut out of some of the daily processes, that does sort of put you on the chopping block.
Is the timing significant, Zeke? The president just received basically that what the White House has been calling vindication, in some cases total vindication, after being acquitted in the impeachment trial in the Senate just the other day. And now he is being dismissed from his post at the White House. Is that purposeful?
Yeah, it's hard to, or if not impossible, to separate the timing here from the vote on Wednesday to this action today, because Vindman testified before Congress 4 or 5 months ago. There's been all of this time where if the president wanted to take this action, he could have, but he was constrained by the impeachment proceedings. He didn't want to do anything to inflame the vote that put his presidency in peril, and do something that was likely to maybe bring over additional Republicans to vote to remove him from office on either of the charges of abuse of power or obstruction of Congress. So this is sort of maybe one of the first clearest example of the president taking action that he would not have taken while those impeachment proceedings were underway, and an example of an emboldened president as a result.
Emboldened. Do you think that the president would not have dismissed him right now if that trial was still going on, if there were witnesses?
It seems highly unlikely, given that the president could have taken this action, for the last several months, and he chose deliberately that this action to take place at this point 2 days, 48 hours or so, almost to the minute, since he was since his acquittal.
We have received a statement from Vindman's attorney. Our viewers at home have seen it on the air, but I want to read it to you. If control room, we can pull that back up. Again, this is all developing news, so thank you for bearing with me. The statement from Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's lawyer says there is no question in the mind of any American why this man's job is over, why this country now has one less soldier serving it at the White House. LTC Vindman was asked to leave for telling the truth. His honor, his commitment to right, frightened the powerful. Goes on to say the truth has called LTC Alexander Vindman has cost Vindman his job, his career, and his privacy. He did what any member of our military is charged with doing every day. He followed orders, he obeyed his oath, and he served his country, even when doing so was fraught with danger and personal peril. And for that, the most powerful man in the world, buoyed by the silent, the pliable, and the complicit, has decided to exact revenge. Again, that is from the personal attorney, this Ambassador David Pressman, who is counsel to Alexander Vindman, who has just been dismissed from his post at the White House. There's another part of the statement that I want to read. In it, they write, "In this country, right matters, and so does truth. Truth is not partisan. If we allow truthful voices to be silenced, if we ignore their warnings, eventually there will be no one left to warn us." They are certainly making the case that this is a vindictive political move, that Vindman did what he needed to do as a soldier, as somebody who has sworn an oath to protect this country. How will this ultimately play out, Zeke?
Well, there's certainly going to be an uproar on Capitol Hill from Democrats, 100%, but likely even some Republicans who had received those assurances from the Pentagon that Vindman would not be retaliated against. The White House will likely argue that he will find another posting at the Pentagon, and he'll be able to continue his career unimpeded. But it is a significant step by the president here. And it was interesting from that statement, that essentially warning that Vindman is now an example of somebody who's been essentially been retaliated against, either and that it could have a chilling effect on future, whether they be whistleblowers or people who are subpoenaed under oath before Congress, to maybe think twice about what they say if their careers are on the line. If this is how Lieutenant Colonel Vindman was treated as a result of his testimony before Congress.
And remind our viewers, if memory serves, he only came forward to testify after being subpoenaed to do so by Congress, and he felt that he was obligated to do so then under the law. Is that right?
That's exactly right. He was not somebody who made his services available to lawmakers beforehand, and he was legally compelled to show up. There was a legal subpoena, and as an officer of the U.S. military, he's required to comply with that order.
And the Pentagon, just so I'm crystal clear on this, the Pentagon had assured the public, other members of the military, that there would be no retaliation taken against Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, and now we're seeing retaliation. So what happens?
There's certainly going to be some questions for the Pentagon about this and about the way that he was treated, and probably an effort by the Pentagon to try to make sure that wherever Lieutenant Colonel Vindman lands, that posting will be able to be construed as essentially a step up in his career. His rotation was supposed to be up at the NSC in 5 or 6 months anyway, so they would potentially argue that this didn't really affect the broader trajectory of his career, and that he was therefore not retaliated against. That is something that will be essentially an attempt at damage control by the Pentagon should this play out, and will also be somewhat dependent on what Lieutenant Colonel Vindman would like to do, and what he would, where he would like to go, and whether or not he would like to stay in the military, and whether he'd like to speak his mind in some other format. So some of this is up to him, some of this is up to the Pentagon if they try to clean this up.
Well, based off of this statement that I'm reading, Zeke, it does not sound like this was up to him at all. This sounds like somebody who's very upset about the way that he was treated, and certainly will not be buying into the Pentagon's argument that his time was going to be up in a couple months anyway, that this isn't hurting his career, that publicly this has hurt his career very much, that he is being removed from a coveted post that he had worked hard to achieve at the White House. But I want to play devil's advocate for just a moment. The president is entitled to have people around him that he trusts. Isn't it fair to say that the trust is eroded between the president and his team and Lieutenant Colonel Vindman?
Absolutely, and that's the point. The message we expect to be hearing from the White House in the next couple of days in response to the expected pushback as well, and that sort of gets at just how it's fraught this situation was, because it did pit those two different prerogatives. Not retaliating against somebody who was responding and testifying before Congress in response to a lawful subpoena, and the president's prerogative was also similarly valid to be surrounded by advisors whom he trusts, and that it put everyone involved in an untenable position. That's why this action was sort of just a matter of time when it happened, and so happened it came 48 hours after the acquittal vote, when the president felt free to actually make that determination and actually carry it out. But it seemed inevitable from the time that Colonel Vindman really raised his hand before lawmakers last fall that this was going to be the direction that things were going, precisely because of that reason, because the president would like to feel that he's surrounded by people whom he trusts and who are supportive of him personally.
Zeke Miller, thank you with the latest on this breaking news.